Hello and welcome back. A well-rounded productivity system consists of strategy, planning, and execution. So you may be familiar with some like planning, execution, budget, and resources. But to truly optimize performance, we need to go beyond the basics and then inject how we are going to execute it based on your big five personality traits. So let's break them down one by one. So every successful business starts with a clear plan. But planning isn't just about writing to-do lists, it's about strategic thinking. So to plan and strategize, you have to define clear objectives aligned with your business goals. You can use SMART goals. So most of you know this is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. There are other frameworks like OKR or North Star metric. So you can try to Google it and try to see which ones you really prefer. Next is structured tasks based on priorities and desired outcomes. So a strong plan provides direction, clarity, and focus. So let's break down planning and strategy based on your personality. We all know that planning and strategy are critical to productivity. But have you ever noticed that some people love planning like everything down to the smallest detail, while others prefer to stay flexible and adapt as they go? That's because how we plan and execute depends on our personality traits. So today, we're gonna break down how you can optimize your planning and strategy based on your level of conscientiousness, openness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. So let's start with conscientiousness. So as a CEO, having a high level of conscientiousness means you are organized, detail-oriented, and disciplined. You love planning, structuring workflows, and ensuring everything is in order. But here's the challenge. Sometimes this strength can turn into over-planning, perfectionism, and difficulty delegating tasks. So in this session, I'll show you how to leverage your conscientiousness for maximum effectiveness without getting stuck in analysis paralysis or micromanaging execution. So these are the common struggles highly conscientious CEOs face. Number one is overplanning, spending too much time perfecting a plan before taking action. Next is difficulty delegating, preferring to do things yourself for quality control. Next is rigidity, struggling to adapt when things don't go according to plan. And then lastly is fear of failure, being overly cautious, leading to slow decision making. The good news, so you don't need to change who you are. Instead, you just need to balance planning with execution and adaptability. So here's how highly conscientious CEOs can plan effectively. First is avoid over-planning. Try to set execution deadlines. Use MVPs or minimum viable product. Next is delegate and trust your team. Review final outputs, not every step. Next is build flexibility. Plan for change, not just structure. And then speed up decision making. Use time limits and impact-based decisions. Then lastly is balance planning with execution. So set strategy checkpoints and execution sprints. So your planning system should work for you, not against you. So your natural strength is planning, but too much planning can lead into inaction. You can try to use 80-20 rule, like focus 20% of actions that drive 80% of results. One example, instead of spending 3 months refining a marketing strategy, say set a 2-week deadline to launch a minimum viable campaign and improve it based on results. So as a highly conscientious CEO, you value control also and quality. But trying to do everything yourself can slow down execution. Then try to identify tasks only you should do. So then delegate the rest. Use the Eisenhower matrix. Try to use also SOPs or standard operating procedures to ensure consistency. And focus on reviewing outputs rather than micromanaging each step. So instead of personally reviewing every client proposal, set clear guidelines for your team and review only the final version. Alright, so let's now talk about the other side of the polar. So it's planning and strategy for CEOs with low conscientiousness. So as a CEO, you know that planning and strategy are crucial for business success. But what if you struggle with structured planning, detailed execution, and rigid organization? So if you're low in conscientiousness, you may find it difficult to stick to strict plans, follow rigid processes, or micromanage execution. But that doesn't mean you can't be an effective strategist. So I'll show you how to leverage your strengths and work around your weaknesses to create a planning system that works for you. First, let's define the challenges that CEOs with low conscientiousness often face. First is they are big picture thinkers. You love vision setting but struggle with execution details. You easily get distracted. You jump from idea to idea without completing projects. You're also flexible but inconsistent. You pivot quickly but may lack follow through. And you also avoid structure. You find detailed planning overwhelming or unnecessary. So the good news is you don't need to change your personality to be a great leader. You just need the right planning system that aligns your strengths. So let's talk about the planning solutions for CEOs with low conscientiousness. First is focus on high-level direction, not details, using the SMART goals. Second important thing is delegate execution planning. So let structured team members handle the details, not you. Third is use simple and flexible planning tools like 90-day cycles or quarterly reviews or Kanban productivity system. Next is leverage adaptability and fast decision making, like weekly check-ins instead of rigid plans. Another point is automate routine tracking. Use dashboards, reports, and AI alerts. Then surround yourself with detail-oriented thinkers or highly conscientious executives like a CEO or a structured partner. Then set hard deadlines, reverse planning, and accountability check-ins. So your planning system should work with your strengths and not against them. Okay, so let's move forward to the next trait, which is openness to experience and planning. So openness to experience determines how much you enjoy innovation, creativity, and exploring new ways of doing things. If you're highly open to new experiences, you thrive on creativity and love brainstorming new strategies. Your challenge, you might jump from idea to idea without fully executing. So the strategy is set a vision board or a mind map, but pair it with structured execution plans to avoid getting lost in possibilities. On the other hand, if you're low in openness, you prefer sticking to traditional methods and avoid unnecessary risk. Your challenge, then you may struggle to adapt to changes in the market. Strategy is rely on data-driven planning and standard operating procedures to feel confident while still making strategic improvements. So here's how you can harness your creativity and innovation while ensuring strategic execution as a highly open CEO. First is prioritize your ideas. Use frameworks like ICE scoring or 80-20 rule to focus on the highest impact opportunities. So the ICE scoring or ICE stands for how important the idea is, how confident you are, and then the ease of execution. So try to brain dump all their ideas and then score each one's importance, your confidence level, and ease of execution. So from there, you'll be able to prioritize which ideas to do first. Second is set flexible guardrails. So use, say, a 90-day planning cycles or quarterly review instead of rigid long-term strategies. Then balance exploration with execution. Maintain a creative backlog to store new ideas without disrupting current projects. Another one is automate and delegate. Free up your creative energy by automating repetitive tasks and partnering with execution-focused leaders. Then set launch deadlines. Avoid perfectionism by committing to pre-orders, beta launches, or public deadlines. And then partner with doers. Surround yourself with structured, results-driven team members or highly conscientious team members who turn vision into reality. Your ability to think outside the box is your greatest strength, but when paired with focused execution, it becomes unstoppable. Now, if your openness to new experiences is low, then here's how you can leverage your structured, data-driven mindset while staying adaptable as a CEO with low openness to new experiences. First is stick to proven strategies. Rely on data-driven planning and industry best practices rather than experimenting with too many ideas. Second is use detailed long-term plans. So create clear SOPs, multi-year roadmaps, and structured execution plans to maintain consistency. Third is minimize unnecessary changes. Avoid frequent strategy shifts by setting firm quarterly and annual goals and sticking to them. Fourth is test new ideas in small increments. If change is needed, use A/B testing or pilot programs before making full-scale adjustments. Number 5 is trust the numbers over gut feelings. Use metrics, KPIs, and financial reports to guide decisions rather than subjective instincts. Number 6 is encourage innovation from your team. While you prefer stability, allow trusted team members to suggest improvements within a structured framework. And then last but not the least is balance caution with growth. While risk avoidance is a strength, ensure you don't miss opportunities by reviewing market trends regularly. So your methodological and structured approach is a powerful advantage, but pairing it with strategic adaptability ensures long-term success. Next trait is extraversion. So extraversion influences whether you prefer working alone or collaboratively when planning. If you're high in extraversion, you love brainstorming and planning with others. Your challenge? You might spend more time discussing ideas than actually executing them. Strategy is to schedule team strategy sessions with clear action steps and set deadlines immediately after discussions. If you are low in extraversion or you are introverted, you prefer working alone and may feel drained by long meetings. You might not communicate your plans well to your team. So the strategy is use documents, task management tools, or asynchronous communication like emails, project management platforms to ensure clarity without excessive meetings. So here's a summary of how you can use your natural energy, communication skills, and people-driven mindset to enhance your planning and strategy as a highly extroverted CEO or an extrovert. First is leverage collaboration for planning. Brainstorm and strategize with your leadership team or advisors to refine ideas through discussion. Second is turn meetings into actionable plans. Ensure every meeting ends with clear next steps, deadlines, and accountability so discussions lead to execution. Third is delegate execution to detail-oriented team members. So focus on vision and relationships while allowing structured thinkers to handle logistics. Fourth is use public commitments for accountability. You should announce key goals or initiatives to your team, stakeholders, or audience to drive follow-through. Number 5 is balance social time with focused work. Set dedicated deep work. It's time to process ideas alone and ensure quiet strategic thinking. 6 is use speaking and networking to fuel a strategy. So gain insights by engaging with industry leaders, attending events, and gathering external perspectives. Then number 7 is be mindful of overcommitment. With your social nature, prioritize projects that align with core business or business objectives and avoid distractions. So your ability to energize people and build strong relationships is a major strategic advantage. Just make sure your plans turn into action. So now, this is how you can leverage your analytical, independent, and focused mindset to optimize planning and strategy as a CEO with low extraversion. First is use solo time for deep strategic thinking. Set aside quiet, uninterrupted time for long-term planning without external distractions. Second is rely on written communication for clarity. So document your strategy, expectations, and decisions in clear memos, emails, or project management tools to avoid excessive meetings. Third is limit meetings to high-value discussions. Keep meetings short, structured, and action-driven to minimize unnecessary social fatigue. Number 4 is delegate networking and external engagement. Assign it to sales, your PR, or investor relations to more outgoing team members so you can focus on internal execution. Number 5 is prioritize data-driven decision-making. Use market research, reports, and financial analysis to validate strategies instead of relying on group consensus. Number 6 is build a trusted inner circle for strategic input. Instead of large collaborations, work closely with a few key advisors or executives to refine ideas. And lastly, ensure execution doesn't stall in over-analysis. Set deadlines for decision-making so planning turns into tangible results. So your ability to focus, think critically, and make calculated decisions is a major strength. Just ensure your strategy is communicated effectively and put into actions. So next trait is agreeableness. So agreeableness affects how collaborative and people-focused your planning approach is. So if you are high in agreeableness, you value teamwork and harmony when planning. So your challenge is you might avoid making tough decisions or setting firm boundaries. Strategy is to use collaborative planning tools but also practice saying no when priorities don't align. Now, if you're low in agreeableness, you prioritize efficiency over emotions when planning. Your challenge is you might dismiss input from others too quickly. So strategy here is to use data-driven decision-making but schedule time for feedback loops to ensure you're not missing valuable insights. So now here's how you can leverage your strong people skills, empathy, and collaborative nature to enhance your planning and strategy as a highly agreeable CEO. First is involve your team in strategic planning. Use collaborative decision making but set clear priorities to avoid indecisiveness. Second is balance team input with firm decision making. Gather feedback but ensure final decisions align with long-term business goals even if they are unpopular. Third is try to set boundaries to avoid overcommitment. So be mindful of saying yes to too many projects or requests that can stretch your focus. Next is prioritize transparent communication. Keep your team aligned by clearly stating expectations, deadlines, and accountability measures. Number 5 is make data-driven decisions, not just relationship-based ones. While maintaining harmony is important, use KPIs and financial reports to validate choices. The number 6 is ensure execution follows collaboration. Turn brainstorming sessions into structured action plans with deadlines and ownership. And then last but not the least is develop comfort with conflict when necessary. So some decisions will require firm leadership. So focus on what's best for the business, not just maintaining harmony. So your ability to connect with people and create a positive team culture is a huge strength. Just make sure it's backed by decisive action and strategic clarity. Now let's talk about how you can leverage your direct results-driven mindset to optimize planning and strategy as a CEO with low agreeableness. First is make swift data-driven decisions. Base strategies on facts, metrics, and ROI rather than emotions or consensus. Second is set clear goals with high standards. Drive execution with strong, measurable objectives while keeping the team accountable. Third is be open to team input even if you disagree. While independent thinking is your strength, consider alternative viewpoints to avoid blind spots. Number 4 is balance efficiency with team morale. Direct leadership is effective, but ensuring employees feel valued and heard improves engagement. Number 5 is delegate execution to trusted team members. So avoid micromanaging by assigning clear ownership to detail-oriented leaders. Number 6 is improve communication for better buy-in, even with the results-first approach. And then lastly is ensure long-term relationship building. While results matter, strategic partnerships and internal culture play a critical role in business success. So your ability to make tough decisions, focus on efficiency, and drive results is a major advantage. Just ensure your leadership style fosters alignment and long-term growth. Our last personality trait is neuroticism. So it determines how much you react to stress and uncertainty when planning. So if you're high in neuroticism, you may overthink risks and get anxious about execution. So your challenge is you might spend too much time planning and second-guessing decisions. A simple tip is use simple goal-setting frameworks and practice quick decision-making techniques to reduce over-analysis. But if you're low in neuroticism, you handle stress well and rarely overthink. Your challenge is you may underestimate risks or skip detailed planning. So strategy is to incorporate risk assessment into your planning process so you remain strategic without over-relying on optimism. So here's how you can manage stress, uncertainty, and decision-making effectively while using your attention to detail and risk awareness to strengthen your planning and strategy. First is use structured planning to reduce anxiety. So rely on clear processes, checklists, and standard operating procedures or SOPs to create predictability. Second is set realistic, actionable goals. Avoid overwhelming yourself with high pressure, unrealistic targets by setting SMART goals with achievable milestones. Third is limit overthinking with decision deadlines. So give yourself a set time frame to make key decisions, reducing analysis paralysis. Fourth is use data to validate decisions. So base strategies on market trends, reports, and analytics rather than fear or emotional reactions. Number 5 is develop coping strategies for uncertainty. So manage stress by practicing mindfulness, setting work-life boundaries, and having trusted advisors for guidance. And delegate responsibilities to reduce pressure. Focus on high-level strategic leadership and delegate operational details to capable team members. And lastly is reframe setbacks as learning opportunities. So instead of fearing failure, view challenges as a chance to adapt and improve. So your ability to anticipate risks, prepare thoroughly, and strive for excellence is a valuable strength. Just ensure stress doesn't slow down decision-making or innovation. So now, let's talk about how you can leverage your calm, resilient mindset to optimize planning and strategy as a CEO with low neuroticism. First is use your stability to stay focused on long-term goals. Stay committed to your vision and strategy without getting easily shaken by short-term challenges. But also take calculated risks to drive growth. Since you handle stress well, be proactive in pursuing opportunities that may seem uncertain but high potential. Third is ensure you're not overlooking risks. While staying calm is a strength, consider downside scenarios and contingency plans for well-rounded decision-making. Number 4 is balance optimism with realistic assessments. Avoid underestimating potential challenges by validating decisions and with data and team input. Number 5 is encourage your team during high-stress situations. Your composed leadership can stabilize your team, making you a strong motivator in times of crisis. Then stay agile and open to change. While confidence is key, be willing to adjust plans if new data suggests a better path forward. Then lastly, foster a culture of resilience. Use your level-headed approach to create an environment where employees feel secure, supported, and empowered to take initiative. So your ability to stay composed, navigate uncertainty, and make clear-headed decisions is a major strength. Just ensure you're accounting for risks and staying agile. So after discussing the planning for the big 5 personality traits, let's talk about execution and implementation. Because a great plan means nothing without execution. So you have crafted your plans, defined your strategies, and aligned your team's objectives. Now it's time to put everything into motion and execution and implementation. So as a CEO, you have the liberty to choose which tasks require your direct involvement, which should be delegated. Your role isn't just about overseeing operations. It's about ensuring action, momentum, and results. So in this session, we'll walk through how to structure your process in execution, align it with your personality traits, and apply effective productivity systems to stay on top of multiple responsibilities. So let's start by defining what your role as a CEO should look like when it comes to execution. So most CEOs lead either sales and or HR. So as these functions directly impact growth and team performance. However, your primary job is to monitor and track department goals and KPIs, ensuring everything is aligned with the company's vision. So the bigger the company, the more you focus on high-level decision-making rather than day-to-day operational tasks. So if you're running a smaller business, you might still be hands-on in multiple areas, but the goal is to transition into strategic leadership over time. So execution starts with clarity, knowing which tasks you handle personally and which ones are delegated. So step 1 is to choose your actionable items. Identify the tasks and decisions that require your involvement. Assign everything else to department heads, managers, or assistants. Use KPIs and progress reports to track delegated tasks rather than micromanaging them. Step 2 is to organize your workflow using a GTD system as discussed earlier. So it's a simple and effective system for tracking tasks. So you can create separate GTD lists for marketing, operations, finance, and team management. Step 3 is manage your time with Eisenhower matrix. Use this to prioritize tasks based on urgency and importance. So assign tasks into urgent and important, which you should do immediately, important, not urgent, which is for scheduling, urgent and not important is for delegation, then neither urgent nor important you should drop. So execution is not a one-size-fits-all process similar to planning. Your personality traits influence how you get things done. So let's go over to optimize execution based on your personality. So if you are high in conscientiousness, execution comes naturally. You're organized, disciplined, and structured. Just make sure you don't overplan to the point that execution slows down. Limit the time you spend on planning and focus on taking action. So if you're low in conscientiousness, you may struggle with structure and procrastinate on execution. So the solution is to hire an executive assistant or chief of staff to keep you accountable. Use time blocking and accountability check-ins to stay on track. If you're high in openness, you'll generate new ideas constantly while executing. So develop an idea dumping system, digital or physical, and then use I-scoring. Like I said earlier, impact, confidence, and effort every week or month to assess which ideas should be executed. So if you're low in openness, you may resist new approaches and stick to the same execution patterns. So your solution is to challenge yourself to generate 1 to 2 ideas, say, per month. Integrate continuous learning exercises to encourage adaptability. If you are high in extroversion, execution might look like leading team collaboration sessions, running high-energy sprint meetings to drive momentum, and engaging in constant team communication to keep motivation high. But if you're low in extroversion or you're an introvert, you prefer deep work over social interaction. So the solution is time boxing techniques. Set specific periods for execution without interruptions. Then block time for solo execution tasks before engaging with the team. Now, if you're high in neuroticism, you may feel overwhelmed by execution. So schedule breaks in your time blocks to avoid burnout. You can use the Pomodoro technique, like for work in 25 to 50-minute bursts with rest periods. And then try NSDR. I actually practice this personally. It's non-sleep deep rest on YouTube. So it's a method, again, I practice personally for stress management. Explaining the why behind decisions can strengthen alignment. But if you are low in neuroticism, then you stay calm under pressure, which helps in execution. However, make sure you're not underestimating risks. Develop a risk management plan for your weekly execution process. Okay, so to make execution more systematic and repeatable, follow this weekly and daily planning approach. So start each week with a planning session. Review goals and KPIs. Assign weekly priorities based on business objectives. And then third is review your GTD list and Eisenhower matrix to organize your tasks. For daily execution, use time blocking for high priority work. Dedicated deep work sessions for focused execution. And then schedule team meetings and sprint reviews to ensure alignment. Alright, so your execution plan should be flexible enough to adapt, yet structured enough to ensure momentum. So to summarize on how to execute and implement effectively as a CEO, these are the key takeaways for execution and implementation. Again, first is define your role in execution. Identify which tasks to handle personally and which ones to delegate. Second is organize workflows using GTD and Eisenhower matrix. Separate marketing, operations, finances, and management tasks. Then prioritize using a time blocking system. Then third is align execution with your personality. Highly conscientious, so avoid over-planning or focus on execution. Low conscientiousness, hire an EA for accountability. High openness, dump ideas and evaluate ideas weekly. Low openness, challenge yourself to generate 1 to 2 new ideas per month. Extrovert, execution through collaboration and team management. While an introvert, execution through deep work and time boxing. High neuroticism, include breaks and stress management techniques. And in low neuroticism, ensure you have a sound risk management plan. Then number 4 is plan weekly priorities, use daily time blocks, and track progress. So by applying the right execution system, you bridge the gap between strategy and results. So what do you think is the execution method you will work best for you? Let's discuss. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in part 2.